The film Unbreakable from 2000 is often overlooked today, but is actually an important movie in comic superhero history. Yes, important to comic book superheroes even though it's not from a comic book. In fact, it's partially why it's so important. At the turn of the millennium, superhero movies were struggling. The disastrous Batman and Robin was so bad it temporarily killed the Batman franchise, and many thought it could be the death of the superhero genre itself. But movies like The Matrix and Unbreakable stripped away the more outlandish elements of superheroes and made the core superhero mythos more palatable to mainstream audiences, perfectly setting the mood for the next generation of superhero movies that came with X-Men and Spider-Man. So here we are 20 years later, and comic book superheroes dominate the box office marketplace. And appropriately, M Night Shyamalan is releasing his Unbreakable sequel. Well, actually, the third of a trilogy that includes Split. And he took the opportunity and the Comic-Con experience in Sao Paulo, Brazil last month to reflect on making Unbreakable and how different things were back then. How comic book movies were not an easy sell in Hollywood back when he pitched Unbreakable.
Yeah, you know, when I wrote Unbreakable, I was thinking of doing all three, but Unbreakable was the first of the kind of comic book movies, and strangely, and I was saying this at the panel, that it was perceived as a very uncommercial thing, comic books. And the theory, and I was saying this at the panel, that they thought that only people that go to conventions for comic books would be interested in it, and that's a very small group. That's what they said at that time. So the actual irony of it, the reason I didn't make it is because there was a sense of like, would this even work? Would anybody be interested in a movie about comic books? And so how ironic is that now? But that was the reason, and I made it in a very dark tone, Unbreakable, and I think for that time it was too dark, but audiences have shifted, and they're able to enjoy and take darker stuff and have that kind of weird humor in it, and so everything just came back into balance, and I made Split, and I made it kind of secretively Split, and then I got to make Glass here. So lucky.
Shamalan was also asked about the comic book style of the new movie Glass, and he talked about how he felt his approach to directing films was very similar to how an artist approaches the comic book art form.
I was really happy when I saw the first trailer for Glass, because it looks like a comic book. And I think nowadays superhero movies, they allow to be more like comic books. Was that your intention in terms of tone and colors?
Yeah, I mean, the way I make movies is very much like an illustrator makes a comic book. I draw out every single shot and what is its meaning and why is it framed that way? Why do we use that lens? Is the hand reaching out to you? Is it far away? Is there someone in the background watching? All those thoughts are taken into account, and we only shoot those shots. I don't shoot anything else. I shoot just like cells of a comic book, and so it actually feels like a comic book because you know that I've painted this picture and I'm putting them together to tell a story like a comic book.
That was M. Night Shyamalan talking about how difficult it was to get comic book movies made back in the late 1990s and early 2000s when he made Unbreakable. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you here next time on Hero Journalism.